We have previously noted the many striking correlations between the astrological planet Saturn and the World Trade Center complex in New York. Correlations of a structural, symbolic, and esoteric nature, both before and after the tragic events of September the 11th, 2001. Correlations which seem more than just mere mundane chance. Ancient history is replete with symbolic, freestanding twin structures which often depict a deity at their center, or that simply stand as mysterious markers, like a gateway to some other unknown world beyond. In the book The Golden Dawn, which claims to hold the entire magical teachings of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, whose members included self-proclaimed beast Aleister Crowley, it is claimed that therein lies an explanation of the symbols of the grade of the neophyte, which clarifies the mystical meaning of the two pillars. As the book continues, a magical ritual of the two pillars is outlined, and it is explained to the beginner that the mysterious and magical motif of the two pillars have many names and many historical origins. One of which, we are told, is from the Egyptian north and south columns of the gate of the Egyptian Hall of Truth, reminding us instantly of the north and south twin structures of the World Trade Center complex. Furthermore, in 33 Degree Mason Manly P. Hall's writings, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, more mention is made of the twin Egyptian obelisks, which are interchangeable with all the other twin structures throughout history. Hall asserts that the obelisks before the sanctuaries of Egypt have the same symbolic import as the biblical twin pillars of Boaz and Jachin of Solomon's Temple, monuments to which can be seen depicted with the as above, so below compass and square motif, symbolic of the seal of Solomon, the magical representation of the planet Saturn, which was in Gemini, astrological sign of the twins, on 9/11/2001. In the King James Bible, Boaz and Jachin are described as each being decorated with checker work, and the very same detail is seen surrounding the symbolic pillars in every Freemasonic hall. In the same biblical chapter, Boaz and Jachin are described as being decorated with pomegranates, a feature prominently seen surrounding the Tarot Pack's High Priestess, who sits between the very same pillars. The card can also be seen with the familiar twin numeral or Gemini symbol at its top. Boaz and Jachin magically represent polarity, polarities of dark and light, female, male, birth and death, and the interchangeable north and south, again reminding us instantly of 9/11's twinned structural centerpiece. In The Secret Teachings of All Ages, Hall states that in the mysterious Sephirothic Tree of Life, these two pillars symbolize severity and mercy. The Tree of Life is, of course, the Kabbalah, a multi-symbolic magical map of consciousness whose sephira or spheres incorporate the planets of astrology, which are linked by magical paths, each ruled by one of the Tarot Pack's 22 major Arcana cards. The two Masonic pillars Boaz and Jachin are interchangeable with the two outer columns on the Tree of Life, as highlighted here. As Hall stated, they are known as severity and mercy, more examples of their polarity, as noted earlier. The complete tree of life is interchangeable with another Freemasonic tracing board as seen here, which is orientated by the letters E for East and W for West at the top and bottom, which consequently orientates the two outer columns of Boaz and Jachin with North and South, giving us another direct hit with the North and South twin towers of 9/11's World Trade Center. Were these twin towers really built to reflect the magical motif of the ancient pillars Boaz and Jachin? Were they built to magically represent the knowledge encoded in the Kabbalah? If so, then where is the middle pillar? At the base of World Trade Center 1 and 2, as well as this strangely Egyptian-looking pyramidal structure, was this, a fountain feature, known locally to lunching New Yorkers as the Sphere. Standing between the two twin towers, the Sphere was commissioned simultaneously as work began at the World Trade Center site in the 1960s, seemingly integral to the complex's original design. The Sphere's actual artistic title is the Great Spherical Caryatid, named by its designer Fritz Koenig. A caryatid architecturally is a replacement pillar or column, and as the caryatid stood between the two towers, our replacement column would first translate to this, then to this, and eventually to this, giving us our missing mystical column. Is all this just mere chance, synchronicity, or the result of more than just a little help from a hidden helping hand? When Nelson Rockefeller opened the Twin Towers in 1973, he stated that the Twin Towers were a great marriage of utility and beauty. A definition of utility is designed for strength. Was this Rockefeller quote code for the two Freemasonic pillars, also known as strength and beauty? The Great Spherical Caryatid, or symbolic middle pillar, was set to rotate once every 24 hours, the length of an Earth day. It was also made of 52 pieces of bronze, the alloy used to forge the original twin pillars Boaz and Jachin. There are 52 weeks in an Earth year. This gives the caryatid or middle pillar a strong resonance with the planet Earth, and on the Tree of Life the Earth rules the 10th Sephirah, situated at the bottom of the middle pillar. This 10th Sephirah is known as Malkuth and is said to resonate strongly with the first Sephirah at its opposite extreme, known as Kether. In fact, it is said Kabbalistically of these two spheres that Malkuth is in Kether and Kether is in Malkuth, or, put more simply, as above, so below. They are interchangeable. This leaves us with little doubt that the spherical symbolic caryatid is the third pillar at the World Trade Center Monument to Magic. On the Tree of Life, Malkuth, the Earth Sephirah, is the 10th Sephirah. Malkuth means kingdom, and within Malkuth lies the gate which leads to the other 9 spheres upon the tree. This gate leads to the pathway which is ruled by the World Tarot card, which relates to the planet Saturn. The symbol for Saturn, the cross, is called the Tau, which is represented Kabbalistically by the letters TH, reminding us instantly of the poster for the 10th Kingdom with the same motif, in which a magical gate opens between the 10th Kingdom, New York Earth, and the other 9 kingdoms, magically informing us that even if you may not, some do believe in magic.
not charge bin Laden with attacking the World Trade Center. The FBI did not charge bin Laden with attacking the World Trade Center. NATO did not charge bin Laden with attacking the World Trade Center. It is what it is. What it really is, it's just a code to move on to the next phase. See, because this boogeyman is gone, we don't need him anymore. Now we're going to move on to something else. Because see, Al-Qaeda said, whoa, we might nuke a city if you kill, our main man, which never existed. So because you killed Osama bin Laden, well, now we're going to have to hit you. So now we've already set the stage for the next thing to happen. Go back and look at World War II. They always refer to it as the Pacific Theater and the European Theater. Do you know why? Because it's all a play. It's staged.
I don't play fantasy football. I play for real football. It takes a lot of hard work, a pinch of luck, body muscles, some salt, and this, Old Spice, Swagger Body Wash. It's like a fantasy, only it's real. Ha!
So I'm going to go over this one more time so that you understand. The man bin Laden never existed. They have been working on certain types of weaponry based on quantum physics, which is also known in the old world as Kabbalah. It's the same thing. One's Kabbalah, which is based on magic. The other one is quantum physics, which is based on science. Magic is nothing but science that hasn't been revealed or explained. The towers were knocked down either intentionally or by mistake because they are messing with quantum physics. Okay? Now, you can't knock down two towers and just expect everybody to go, oh, nothing to see here, move along. So they had to assign a name to it. So they came up with the name bin Laden or bin Laden. What holds this planet together, the electromagnetics, the electrical system, space, time, gravity, is the planet Saturn. Okay? The mystics all know this. That's why it's the main focal point of all the religions, and people don't realize it. That's why you have the hexagon on the Hebrew flag, because it's a cube. It represents Saturn. It's sitting in the UN prayer room. Go Google UN meditation room, and you'll see a black cube sitting in there. It represents Saturn. Look at Mecca. There's a black cube there. It represents Saturn. The cube, the square that you wear on your head, represents Saturn. Because to these people it is God, and it is a very big part of the reality of which we live in. It's not God, it's part of the creation. But that's what it does, it regulates time and space. So they, in Hebrew, they call Saturn, it has many names, but one of them is Binah, B-I-N-A-H. So they shortened the word to Bin, B-I-N. Okay? And then they added Laden, L-A-D-E-N. Laden means like heavy, weight, to tie down, restrain, or hold back. Now you have bin Laden, see? So now they assign that to the name of the mathematical problem or the quantum physical problem, and they called it bin Laden. And so they told you bin Laden did it. In other words, it didn't work out like we said. It was bin Laden that did it. You see? So now they've got a boogeyman that they can chase after. So now they say he's hiding in caves. The cave that bin Laden was in, which is just, it's theoretical, is what's called Plato's cave. And what that means is Plato said, look, if you took people and you chained them to a wall and you had a fire and the only thing that they ever saw, they never saw outside, they just saw shadows on the wall, that's all that they would ever understand as reality. They would never know that if they looked over this way, that they would see the true reality of what's outside of that cave. And so what they're saying, what they're saying is that you have been so well trained in your head to believe what you see that you believed what you saw, not the reality of it. And that's not your fault. I mean, this is so high tech crap, you can't believe it. And so the commercial I did with the Raven. Okay, the Raven has always been known as the messenger of Saturn. That's why Edgar Allan Poe and the Raven, nevermore, it represents Saturn. It represents death. Okay, so the Grim Reaper, which also represents Saturn, why does it carry a sickle? Because people say, well, it means death. No, it doesn't. It means sickle because it's a cyclical, spelled with a C, meaning cycles. Goes round and round. Life, death, beginning, end, start, finish. Okay? The book in the Bible, Ecclesiastes, a time to laugh, a time to cry, a time to live, a time to die. It's all based on the planet Saturn and its phases. Okay? So these guys are messing around with quantum physics and they're screwing everything up in the world. And so that commercial where it showed the Raven with the football player on it flying to Saturn and blowing it up is because they're trying to stop time. Now, why are they trying to stop time? Because there are those that have been here for a long, long time that understand that they can't keep messing with time. In other words, they're running out of it, okay? And so they pushed it back, and at least to my understanding, from what I've been able to pull together, 1973 was the last time, for lack of a better way to put it, they did a system restore, okay? Now they don't have a date to go back to. So you either, time is going to catch up with them, and they're going to be destroyed. This is where you get into the biblical, mythological crap, or they're going to have to stop the program, okay? Which means that they get to survive indefinitely, okay? This has been going on for a long, long, long time. It's a very, very big, big story, okay? And so this is what CERN has been doing, okay? This is why it says in the book of Revelation in the Bible that Satan knows his time is short. Satan is synonymous with Saturn, but it doesn't mean that it's evil. It's just saying that the phase is coming to an end. The phase is coming to an end, and these guys know it, and they're panicking. They're doing everything that they can, okay, to stop time from catching up to them, okay? And so in Revelation it says, peace, peace. When you think you finally have peace, then catastrophe will come upon you and there will be no escape. Remember when they said that bin Laden was killed? And whatever you say, oh, wonderful joy, everybody celebrated. So let's go back to the day that bin Laden got killed. If you remember, if you go back and look at the video, this stealth helicopter they got, it's because it's quantum physics. They moved at point A to point B in time and space manipulation. That's why if you watch it, you'll see the woman going, I don't even know where this thing came from. I was just standing there and all of a sudden it appeared. Because they killed bin Laden. They beat the time and space mathematical problem. And so they were all happy about it. And if you go watch the news footage, go Google stealth helicopter in bin Laden's assassination, whatever, type that in, and you'll see it. And they made a real big deal about it. So this is what this is. See, this is a war of time and space. And that's why, I mean, I could go on and on and on, but there's no point in me going on until people understand and catch up to what I'm trying to tell you. And if you can't, it doesn't mean you're stupid. It's just some people ain't going to get this. I mean, I failed pre-algebra. That shows you how smart I am when it comes to math. But I understand the esoteric of what's going on here. You know, I mean, it's well, I didn't actually fail pre-algebra. I got a D. Give me the credit on that. That's what they're dealing with. And so when they said bin Laden was hiding out in caves, they're using Plato's caves. In other words, they're saying, because all you've ever understood is what you've seen, that's all you'll ever know. See, they're making fun of you, basically, is what they're doing. That's what that whole, he's hiding in caves. No, the reality of it was hiding in caves, because they never hipped people to what the truth is. And they sat back with their gin and tonics and laughing and smoking their cigars and collecting mass amounts of money and scaring the dog shit out of people. See, that's what's going on. That's why in that video I made, Truth is Stranger Than Fiction, where it shows that cube flying around, because that cube is time and space. That's what slammed into the towers and knocked them down. The one with the Donald Duck, remember that video? That cube? Okay, that cube represents Saturn. It represents time and space. Okay? They're scared. They're scared. So no more videos. We don't have to exchange any more bad words. Some people are going to get this stuff, and some people won't. It's a fact. The ultimate weapon is time and space manipulation. And to put it in a more understandable way, let's say you're going to get in a fist fight with a guy, and you can go back before you get in a fist fight with a guy, and you're standing out of the way before he throws the punch. You can't combat that. Because now you're thinking you're punching him in the face, and you're getting punched in the back of the head. You see? It's the same thing. It's quantum physics, and it's what it is.
Explosions and helicopter noise.
ABC News has learned that the SEALs who carried out the mission were using a top-secret weapon, the world's first stealth helicopter. Brian Ross is here with that story. And Brian, this is beyond James Bond. It's a helicopter that is almost invisible and almost silent.
Very strange one indeed. In fact,
I didn't realize, I didn't know what is going on and what is, I wasn't in my senses. What happened? Firstly, I laughed. Obama, no, sorry, Osama is my neighbor.
Okay, I'm going to show you some things that some data that I've collected. As I told you before, a lot of times the system will reveal itself, and I'm catching more and more of this stuff. If we look at this picture, what I'm going to try and do is show you kind of what went down on 9/11. It kind of goes along with what I've been trying to show you, dealing with time and space. You look at this picture, it's interesting that this picture's set up to see the whole panoramic view. You got the towers, you got the bay. But the interesting thing is, if you look at the right side of the picture, see how it's darker blue than the left side? That's really interesting. I don't know of any kind of camera that does this. This looks like it's the same frame that somebody split in half. Or a mirror image, which is interesting, mirror image. There's a lot of meaning behind that as far as the occult goes, but we'll try and keep that off to the side for right now. So we can see the trail of the boat going from the center of the bay off to the lower right-hand side. So everything looks, if you look close, it looks like it's lined up, yeah? But there's a very, very interesting thing in here, which caught my mind. Now this was just one clip in a video, and I'm real good at catching stuff. So let's take a look at the one thing that really caught my eye, and hopefully it'll make an impression on you as well. If we cue in on this is a barge, I believe. It's full of gravel and sand and piles. But interestingly enough, if we look, what is their perfectly paced pyramid doing on here? That's not a pile of dust. That's not a pile of dirt. It's not concrete. That is a pyramid. A pyramid is a time cube. Remember I told you? If you look at a pyramid from the top, it makes an X box. That's what the pyramids are. They are time cubes. They have to do with time and space. Okay, that's exactly what the big ones represent. They represent the planet Saturn. So here we have a connection. First of all, we have the picture is goofy because it's darker on one side than the other, and now we have a pyramid sitting on the dock or on a barge of the morning of 9/11. Okay, this is interesting. This gets better, folks. Hang with me. So what is that thing doing there? Why is this thing, even if somebody photoshopped that in there, why would they? Okay, who set up the cameras to look right at the buildings? Okay, all this goes together, and believe me, at the end, it even gets better than this. So let's go back to the original picture, and I'll do a time-lapse photo of what happened on 9/11, and you'll see, just like I did, what's going on here. Now I want you to make sure that you keep your eyes on the pyramid. You see it? It's on the dock in front of you, the lower left-hand corner. You see that pyramid? keep your eyes on it, and I'll do it. I'm going to go ahead and do the time photo lapse here. You'll see the towers. They get hit. They come down. They turns into nighttime, but something very interesting happens. Okay, so let's watch that. So interesting, as you saw, as well as I did, the pyramid disappears, which means somebody had to come in there and physically remove that thing. And I said, even if that was photoshopped in, somebody had to go into the film and erase it. I don't believe it was photoshopped in, because when you see the next thing, all these three things are all gonna come together. This was all done on time and space manipulation. I keep trying to tell people that this is based off of time and space. They've been messing with it. That's what CERN is. That's why this picture is funky, where the screen is split. This thing stinks to high heaven. But I've been telling people this is why the buildings were pulverized, because it didn't happen on the third dimensional level that you think it did. I mean, I'm going to show you a picture here real quick from above, from a helicopter. Where's the debris? Where is it? It's all powder. So let's take a look at that real quick. Here, this is from an aircraft, probably a helicopter. Look at it. Obviously, this couldn't be in the cleanup stage. Look at how much smoke there is, how much debris is in the air. So this was from the day 1745. This is 5:45 in the afternoon. Okay. Look at it. Where's the stuff at? These are buildings. Huge buildings. Where's the debris? It's pulverized, because this is the same technology they used in the story about the walls of Jericho, where God told them to walk around and blow the horn 7 times. It's because it was done on sound and space and time manipulation. It pulverized the buildings. This stinks to high heaven. Now this is interesting. This is from the same video that whoever made it. If we look, what do we have here? We have an 8-sided object. That's not a Ferris wheel, folks. That's an 8-sided object. An octagon always in the occult represents a stargate or a gate, a passageway. Just like CERN. CERN, if you look at it, and I'll put a picture in, it has 8 sides. Interestingly enough, who's sitting right next to him? Oh, our little buddy, the black cube. So here we have time and space again, with a gate, with a stargate, or with a gateway. I don't like that word stargate because it's too industrial. It's a gate to something. All I know is the third dimensional evidence does not add up to third dimensional destruction. Planes don't disappear, bodies aren't found, steel is reduced to nothing, the concrete is completely dust. You know, if you really still think that this was done in a third dimension, well, then you believe everything the government tells you. This was done with very high physics. You see this 10-sided thing here, or 8-sided thing? See the cube? You see how it's facing where the towers were? Okay, I find that interesting that they cued in on the picture from this angle and they show it. What's more interesting is, here's a sea-based HARP unit with the same configuration. So, this cube and this, they're doing something with time. Something is going on with time and space. That's why nobody can figure out how these towers came down. The planes are out of whack, or they're not there, or people didn't see the same thing. All day long I've been watching Morgan Freeman on the Science Channel talking about time and space. Look at you like this. Saturn is what creates time and space. But the two of those, when they intertwine, are kind of like they create gravity. That's how that works. And it was funny because the one scientist said, well, you know, no time means that would be like 13 telling 11 it doesn't exist. 11 and 13, are you kidding me? Anyway, all of that comes from Saturn, and you're going to figure that out. Someday you will understand that this entire planet is based off of what comes off of Saturn. It's a fact Period. Cut and dry. I spent years. Everything on this planet is linked to that planet. And it ain't because somebody just got a hair up their ass and said, I like Saturn, no, it's because it is what is in charge of this planet. And when people finally get that through their head, good or bad, you'll understand what is the ruling power here. All you gotta do is go look at that black cube in the UN meditation room. Now what is that thing? It really represents a tree of life. And the way it's set up, I can explain it to you later, but it's time and space. And time and space is really only here on Earth. Because once you leave the Earth's atmosphere, now you're in space-time, see? Space-time is not the same as time and space. See? So it's a very interesting thing, and it's very cool. I'm just telling you. Get this shit straight. The sooner that you understand that Saturn is the planet that runs this, that the Washington Monument points straight up at Saturn. When you understand that time and space is what runs this, and it's run by Saturn. When you understand that Capitol Hill in Washington comes from Capitoline Hill from Rome, which is a temple that was built in reverence of Saturn. When you finally understand that all of this stuff, everything in your freaking life, when you see a girl walk by and you look at the belt loops on her pants and you see an X on the back, yeah, it all goes back to Saturn. See, the old saying is what? All roads lead to Rome. No, not quite. They all lead to Saturn. You know why? Because Italy, Google it, its original name was the land of Saturnia. All roads lead to Saturn. That's the truth.
What we need to stand up and say is not only did they attack the USS Liberty, they did 9/11. They did it. I have had long conversations over the past 2 weeks with contacts at the Army War College, at Headquarters Marine Corps, and I've made it absolutely clear in both cases that it is 100% certain that 9/11 was a Mossad operation, period. First, the disbelief, and what I show them immediately afterwards is an interview with a demolitions expert named Danny Jawenko, and it shows the third building at the World Trade Center going down. And they look at that, and I said, now you understand that if one of the buildings was wired for demolition, all of them were wired for demolition. And that's it. That's the tipping point. Getting into arguments about who was flying what and where they were and whether there was nanothermite, those things are true, but they're incidental. The thing that's necessary is to tell people 3 buildings went down, the third was not hit by a plane, it was wired for controlled demolition, therefore all of them were wired for controlled demolition, and at that point the reaction is rage. First disbelief and then rage. 9/11 has led directly to 60,000 Americans dead and wounded. God knows how many hundreds of thousands of people in other countries that we've killed or wounded or made homeless. This is an open wound. And what Americans need to understand is they did it. They did it. And if they do understand that, Israel's going to disappear. Israel will flat ass disappear from this earth. I sent a film to one of my colleagues, and it basically had Americans grieving over their dead coming back. And I showed one of them, it was a woman just wrenched by grief, over her dead soldier. And I said, if Americans ever know that Israel did this, they're going to scrub them off the earth. And they're not going to give a rat's ass what the cost is. They are not going to care. The first thing, Mark, is astonishment. They didn't know. They truly didn't know. And these are not unintelligent people. They really didn't know. And the next statement is rage. Real rage. The Zionists are playing this as truly an all-or-nothing exercise. Because if they lose this one, if the American people ever realize what happened, they're done. The military has not been bought. The military is loyal, but it has not been bought. And if it ever understands this, really, really deeply understands this, and this is what I got when I put some of these things to the Army War College and to Headquarters Marine Corps, I mentioned to a contact at headquarters Marine Corps, I said, you know they did 9/11. And it was, you don't mean it. I said, absolutely. And if they ever understand that, these people are history.
Completely shocked. Unbelievable.
Right, that's the view from the Palestinian side. Joining me now here in the BBC World studio is the former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, who's in London at the moment. Mr. Barak, welcome to BBC World. First, your reaction, having heard what's happened. At least 4 planes have been hijacked, and there may be more.
The world will not be the same from today on. I don't know who is responsible. I believe we will know in 12 hours. Bin Laden sits in Afghanistan. There is a source of
who else
terror.
Can you identify, though? Because we're not saying he's responsible for this necessarily.
No, we don't say that he's responsible. Every simple step, crossing borders or going on a plane or on a ship, will become more complicated. It's a time to launch a operational, concrete war against terror, even if it takes certain pains from the routine activities of our normal society. This is the time to deploy a globally concerted effort led by the United States, the UK, Europe, and Russia against all sources of terror. Consistently, along 6 or 10 years, Iran, Iraq, Libya, North Korea. This is the only way. Without this clarity of purpose, there will be no world order, no world order possible here.
Ye took up the tabernacle of Moloch, and the star of your god Remphan, figures which ye made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon. And the star of your god Remphan,
and the star of your god Remphan, and the star of your god Remphan.
But ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch, and Chayun your images, the star of your god which ye made to yourselves, and Chayun your images, the star of your god,
and Chayun your images, the star of your god, and Chayun your images, the star of your god.
Throwing it back.
Well, they thought it was a curse. Would you like me to show them how the sign of the curse works?
Don't blame it on the studio. Go on with it.
All right.
So that's the sign of the horn, and then what happens?